Well, let's find out what Ceri makes of the chances of the law changing and families benefiting from this potentially. Ceri joins us now. Good morning to you. It's, 4 years ago nearly since you lost your son, Hugh. Just remind us of where that left you and your family. And
well, I think even your child being diagnosed with cancer is the worst thing you could ever imagine. But, you know, the nature of these children is that they're just ignorant to everything they go through. And Hugh was just amazing through it all. But, no, we thought we were winning, and he made his 6th birthday. And then, sadly, 2 weeks after, he passed away and, you know, left a massive hole, as anyone can imagine. Everyone tells you never get over it, which is, they're correct, you never do, but you learn to live with it. And what we're doing now is creating a legacy, because I promised him we'll make a legacy. So we're doing it now.
And just remind us, that legacy you want is so that families can have a bit more confidence about how their lives can
well, exactly.
work.
At the moment, there's, as you described earlier, there's nothing in place for parents at the moment should they have a sick child. There's a glaring gap between 29 days old from 28 days old in the introduction of the neonatal bill to 16 years old, and you know, parents are having to wait 90 days at least to apply for a child that's sick for a DLA, and then can take an extra 20 weeks to come through after that payment. So there's nothing in place, and I think, you know, having that added pressure of finances and having a sick child is, you don't want the both of them. And if we can do a little bit to help in that time by giving them or relieving the pressure, I think that's worth doing, really.
And what would this change mean in practical terms for parents? What do you need at that point? You know, when you're in that crisis moment, what would make life easier?
Well, from my experience, you know, the first week, you're not even being treated in the first week with Hugh. We went from thinking he had a tummy bug to my wife being told he had cancer within 24 hours. And then the first week, you're going through everything through, you know, biopsies and in certain ways of methods of treatment and finding out where you are. And then that's just the first week. And if you look at the current carers leave system, it's only 5 days unpaid you get to take off. So that's gone in the first week. And then we were told that Hugh needed 6 to 12 weeks in hospital to even get back to a baseline where he can come home. And then how do you go to an employer in current times now when NI is rising and everything's going up to say, I have to leave work for 6 to 12 weeks to look after my child? And then you have siblings at home as well who need to be looked after. So there's nothing in place. And what we're trying to set out for Hugh's Law and this amendment tonight is, if you need to leave work, you can, and you shouldn't be having to choose between being by the bedside of your child and being at work that day. And I think that's just the whole crucial part of it, really.
And I guess nothing prepares you. You know, none of us ever think about suddenly being in that position as parents.
No, because I think you're sort of not vulnerable like that ever. You never think it's going to happen to you. And we named our charity It's Never You because you always think it's someone else, it's never you. But we have many entitlements for unexpected leave absences in the UK. We have adoption leave, bereavement leave, sadly. We have maternity, paternity, shared parental leave, but no leave to speak of when your child is really sick and you need it the most. And I think out of parents, obviously bereavement leave is, you're going through a hard time of grief and things like that, but I think being by the bedside of your child who's sick is possibly one of the worst times you can ever imagine, especially if that child doesn't make it out of hospital.
It's almost unbelievable that there is this gap. I imagine you were shocked by it.
Diving into the research when we've done it and we identified it and we went through it, and you know, you don't really think about it when you're going through it because all you're focused on is your child and Hugh, really. And we witnessed other parents just really struggling with not even affording to get a taxi home or weighing up whether they can feed their child that night or is it a taxi home. And yeah, I think it's a complete shock, really, that there is nothing there. And you know, this is what we're trying to change. And I think, you know, if you speak to everyone who I've spoken to along the way of campaigning now for 4 years now, and I've tried, as I've been in many times, trying different ways to do this, every time I'm kind of pushed back on it and told we're sympathetic, we understand it, but no action's taking place. And tonight really puts them into a position where we have to act on it, really, and I'm hoping that is the case.
Why do you think there hasn't been action before? What is the resistance?
Well, under the last government, we had a private members bill go through with Oliver Hild, my former MP, and at the second reading, the then Minister Joe Churchill asked us to withdraw it so that we could start working it straight away. And we did that. We started working it, and we had several meetings at the Department of Work and Pensions, and then the election was called, and then everything ended. And then I had a new MP because Saul Everhill retired, and Chris Hinchliffe, who's Labour in my area, turned Labour for the first time ever, and he had no obligation to take this up, and he did, and he's been absolutely fantastic with it. And I think the new government have their own agenda at the moment, and I think this is, in real terms or relative terms to the spending, is quite small but quite insignificant for them, so to speak, in relation to other things that they're doing in the UK. So I think it's been swept under a little bit under the carpet, and I think by bringing it to the forefront in the Employment Rights Bill as we're doing tonight, I think it's bringing it back out. And sat on your sofa this morning, I'm sort of banging the drum for it, really.
Are you hopeful?
It's a lot. Even if it goes through tonight, it's a long way to go because it has to go back to the Commons. But we've had several meetings with them recently in the last week about this, and they've offered us a consultation on it. But consultation doesn't mean anything unless it's legally enacted on. So we've asked it to be whatever the consultation results are to be legally acted on, and we're hopeful that they might come back and say that's correct. If not, then Tanny will choose whether to take it to a vote tonight or not in the Lords, and we're confident from the emails that I've had and the meetings that I've had with fellow peers that should it go to a vote tonight, we're hopeful that we'll get through on a vote tonight, and then it goes into ping pong, so to speak, in the House of Commons. And we had a letter from 80 MPs across the party to support it last year, and we could do that again.
Ceri, thank you so much. We'll make sure we report tomorrow morning on what happens tonight in Parliament. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.